This is Walt Disney. I would like to welcome all of you to the Park Streamers Hangout tonight. Bob, Danny, and Cordy are dear friends, and I know they have an amazing podcast for you. So thanks for joining us tonight, and enjoy the show.
All right. Well, hey, kids, dreamers, and jammers, are you ready? It is time for another Park Streamers Hangout. And I am prepared because it seems that wherever I start live streaming, it starts to rain. So just in case, I got the poncho on because you just never seem to know these days. But we have got a gigantic show for you. Not only do we have fantastic topics to discuss, but I've got my wonderful co-host and our very special guest, Mr. Vashsky of That Park Place and Theme Park Universe. Vash, would you say hello and let everybody know where they can find you?
Well, hello there, everybody. I've been looking forward to joining the Streamers Hangout for quite some time. It's so great that we've been able to, make it work out and to hang out with friends. Oh, this is just absolutely amazing. Thank you all for having me. If you guys want to go ahead and follow me, you can go ahead and do so right down there at Vashsky. Just go ahead and type in. It should pop up for all that robust discussion. Some people might actually remember where that came from. If you want to go ahead and follow me on YouTube, you absolutely can via That Park Place for all the news that should be fun. We cover all types of stuff, not only related to the theme park space, but also the entertainment space. And, well, there's a big proxy battle happening at the upper echelons of Disney. I don't know if any of you are aware, so we're covering that in depth as well, going live every Thursdays at noon Eastern. So definitely check that out. And Theme Park Universe with my compatriot theme park wizard talking about news from theme parks all across the nation, even the world in some instances. So definitely check that out as well if you are interested in following me.
Awesome. Thank you. And we are so happy to have you with us, Vash. I've been wanting to have you on ever since we started, basically. You're one of my kindred spirits when it comes to critiquing the Disney company and such. But we need to introduce our amazing co-host, Cordy. We'll start with you. Would you let the folks know where they can find you?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Cordy, California on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitch.
All right. And we have the one and only Barry Place 28, who is right there above me. So, Bob, would you let everybody know where they can find you?
First of all, I'm checking the weather because you're wearing a poncho. It's making me look kind of nervous there. It looks like you're having rain on Saturday.
I know.
Oh, wait. Well, yeah. It's late, though. So maybe. Oh, well. Anyhow.
We'll have to see.
Hey, everyone. Good to see you. You can find me at BarryPlace28 on Instagram, Twitter. Oh, sorry. X now, Facebook, Twitch, and what's that other one I've been using? Oh, yeah, Instagram. You can find me there.
All right. So now that you guys know everybody.
And you?
Oh, well, you can find me on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, all of them at Theme Park Casual. So enough about us, though. We want to talk about the stuff at the parks. And one of the things that's been having lots of discussion and lots of speculation lately is Disneyland Forward. It recently did get pushed through the Planning Commission. So now it is off to the City Council to have a vote. But with that is coming lots of, like I said, the speculation is starting to fly around, and we're starting to see lots of different things happening with Disney trying to purchase some of the city streets around, in the area of the parks to try to get a grasp on the logistics and the flow of traffic through the area. But let's go ahead and toss it over to Vash. I know you've really delved into this. You're an amazing researcher. So bring us up to speed of what this means with it getting passed through the Planning Commission, and what are certain things that are happening at the moment before we get to the City Council vote.
Yeah, so it is moving through its its way through this. What has been kind of a little contentious in recent days of vote with the public governing body of the Anaheim area right here. It's very interesting how this all works. Not quite like Florida, right, with Walt Disney World and how that whole thing goes through, which has just been has had additional layers of complication added. No, whenever Disney does something like this, they have to get city approvals, and there is a process by which it actually happens. Bob, why don't you go ahead and share my screen right here, and we'll go ahead and take the viewers through what is actually going on here. So Disneyland's multi-decade $1.9 billion expansion plan clears crucial hurdle after contentious public meeting. Oh yes, this is via deadline here, Tom Tapp. I can tell you right now, this was quite the meeting right here. If you guys didn't catch it, you can still catch it if you want to do that sort of thing. It's about 6.5 hours. Like, it was long and arduous, and we'll talk about some commissioners who maybe necessarily got a little bit ahead of themselves in terms of the questioning and all that. But here we go. The Anaheim City Planning Commission voted 5-1 to approve sending the corporation's Disneyland Forward plan to the full City Council. Disneyland Forward would transform Walt Disney's original theme park over the coming decades, adding mixed-use amenities and attractions. So what you can kind of say that Disneyland Forward is it's simply just a rezoning of Disneyland's or Disney's land that they own right now in the Anaheim area, right? So while they do own that land, they still have to get various approvals for anything that they want to put up. This is an all-encompassing rezoning of the original EIR, or the Environmental Impact Report, that was settled on in the 1990s, interestingly enough. And what this allows for is, hey, can we have theme park additions be made on, let's say, the West End, where you're looking at right now? This is beyond downtown Disney. Can we necessarily put theme park elements there? Can we put hotel elements in the old, Strawberry Fields, or as we know today as the Toy Story parking lot? All of those things are up for consideration when it comes to Disneyland Forward, and there is much to consider with it, as one could imagine, and why this whole thing has been so contentious. So this is kind of the review process that they've had. This has been in the works for a long time, gang. Ever since 2020, when they originally announced this thing, this has been making the rounds through this whole process. And this is all pretty technical, but I wanted to go ahead and demonstrate that this has been in the works for years. And it has some of its origins even back to those 1990s time period that we were talking about before. So you can kind of see right here what they are wanting. Again, the original plan was agreed upon in 1996, and that allowed for a 40-year term for a lot of the stuff going on Disneyland Resort, to make it a resort from its days when it was just a theme park. And so it would probably have to be up for review anyway. And now Disney has taken because of some of the economic conditions that have affected Anaheim back in 2020, they've taken this moment to say, okay, we want an all-encompassing plan, not just in the next 10 years, but for even longer. And Disneyland Forward stipulates that it might take up as much as 30 years to really build out what they have envisioned for this property. The $1.9 billion figure is for the first 10 years of development. So that's kind of the key going right there. So this is a long-term plan. And it's interesting. They talk about how, because this is more city-driven, obviously it's going to have an impact on the community in terms of, noise pollution from construction, in terms of how it affects, the local irrigation, local housing, and so forth. They are doing a lot of those things to mitigate those processes. However, it will have necessarily an impact on the city and its residents right here, as you can kind of see what those are at a glance. But one I kind of want to talk about a little bit later on here specifically is some of those cultural resources. I think that was a particular interest for us Disney fans that kind of got overlooked at this meeting right here. You can kind of see a little bit of those plans right there. So as Bob mentioned before, they're talking about, or I should say casual, they talked about how they're necessarily going to acquire whole streets. And that is absolutely correct. You can actually see that figure right there, that $40 million for street and transportation improvements. Okay, these are Disney's slides. What was revealed at the meeting that I thought was very interesting is that that's outside of a few $1,000,000 added for such improvements, that's actually the going rate for these streets right here. So the bulk of that is going to be spent on purchasing those streets. And which ones specifically? Well, the one that's most contentious right now is Magic Way. And they had some slides attempting to say, hey, look, listen, yes, Magic Way will be impacted. It will be necessarily given over to Disney in this whole transactional process here. However, they were saying that they had done a kind of a feasibility or traffic study on this specific area. And what they were finding out was, at least according to Disney right here, that 99% of the trips on Magic Way aren't necessarily Anaheim residents, they're Disneyland Resort guests or employees. And you can kind of see the results right there. Again, this was very contentious because a lot of people, especially along Walnut, which is still going to remain Walnut, but there's going to be some street improvements connected with that. But that community that's beyond Walnut uses Magic Way for quick access to the 5, either going north or south right there as it connects to Ball. So now you would have to necessarily take Walnut all the way to Ball. A lot of people are kind of, obviously, they're resistant to that idea because that cut through is obviously no longer going to be there. However, it looks like the commissioners weren't necessarily concerned with that aspect of it. The other thing that people were really keying in on, however, is the this height map that Disney has. As people will know, or maybe you're not familiar, there's a very rigid set of height restrictions around Disneyland. And this was done for a specific reason, in order so that none of these structures that surround Disneyland would intrude on the park itself. And so this is something that Walt Disney himself was able to get approval, I believe, in the early 1960s, and was the precursor to the all-out control that he would necessarily want to get his hands on when it came to Walt Disney World, right? But this was the precursor to that. And you can see how it flares out, how as you get farther away from Disneyland Resort proper, your structures can be larger. Well, Disney had to amend those processes in the 1990s because they wanted to build a 300-foot tall space station Earth from Westcott. You can see that right here. Very ambitious. And they didn't end up going through with it. However, they still wanted to retain this aspect of the Disneyland site plan for the new Disneyland forward properties. And you can kind of see that and how that's illustrated right here. It's very interesting because a lot of people were like, oh, people, they could build up to 300 feet. Yes, they can. Doesn't mean they necessarily will. And that 300-foot height right there, it has its history going back to the 1990s, which is very, very interesting. They talk about how there will be no fireworks on these Disneyland forward areas, especially on the west side, because of its proximity to the neighborhood next door.
And let me just say right off the bat with that one, boo!
Yeah,
Give us more fireworks.
I know. It is disappointing. However, they did talk about the idea of necessarily incorporating shows that maybe are not necessarily as disruptive. So I think they gave an example of, I don't have that slide here. I thought I did, but they gave the example of, oh, here we go. this one right here. How you could necessarily have parades, how you can necessarily have a World of Color type show, as long as it maintains that 550-foot minimum building or noise barrier. And this was crucial to Disneyland Forward. They don't necessarily want to disrupt the outside, the outside world, and vice versa, right? They want to have that kind of berm mentality, both acoustically and visually, which I thought was very interesting. They also talk about how the setbacks for various attractions, how once you get closer to the neighborhood, then you have to enclose those things. Those are probably going to be attractions with show buildings and so forth. No necessarily coasters that could intrude on those areas. So it wouldn't necessarily be like Knott's and how you have coasters on the perimeter. Right. What would be on the perimeter of some of these Disneyland Forward sites would be probably enclosed show building type attractions right there. And then we get to the unavoidable impacts. This is what I was talking about before with the cultural resources. This is something that a lot of people didn't pick up, but I think it's really crucial, and I definitely want to hear from you guys here on this one right here. Because
now, real quick, Dre, I just want to make sure these are the actual slides that were presented to the Planning Commission, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. I just want everybody to understand these weren't just you throwing these together. This is what Disney presented.
That's a fair point. I probably should have led with that right there. But yes, these are the slides that Disney presented to the Anaheim City Planning Commission right here. And they talk about noise issues related to construction. I mean, that's kind of going to be kind of unavoidable right there. However, they talked about the effect on historical, cultural resources. And they say, you can see the red barrier outlining Disneyland proper right there. They're saying that because the park is necessarily over 50 years old, that individual structures within the park might have a historic preservation flag attached to them, right? And so they were talking how Disneyland Forward would require amending that and allow them to necessarily renovate, reconfigure, or maybe even demolish entirely structures that might have that historic flag on them. And you can see the 4 structures that they actually give as an example. The Main Street train station, that's doubtful that would ever be necessarily impacted by Disneyland Forward. But talks about Hungry Bear Restaurant. Now, we know Hungry Bear Restaurant is adjacent to where they necessarily want to make a pathway to the west side out of Disneyland for these areas that are just outside the park area. So it's like, ooh, is that going to get affected? They talk about the facade for Pirates of the Caribbean. That's interesting. The Pope House, which has been part of Disneyland since its very inception right here. And so I think it's kind of crucial to kind of understand that Disneyland Forward long-term might actually affect these structures that we're seeing right here as the park looks to improve. They talk about how they want to alter their landscape program to go towards plants that are low water use right here. They talk about some transportation improvements. This slide is new right here. You can see this is the Disneyland Forward kind of the proposal on what could be possible if they get approvals. You can see these purple lines right here. Those are the outlines for pedestrian bridges or potential pedestrian bridges and where those might be. Remember, you get a lot of traffic going from, across harbor, from like the parking garage over to the Esplanade and so forth. They want to build a series of pedestrian bridges in order to take away that traffic, because on the other side of those pedestrian bridges, especially in harbor, you would get a new parking structure. I believe it's a 13,000 space parking structure, which is interesting because that has been the proposal for quite some time. You can see right here, I love this tweet right here. This is from Jason Schultz, who found this article back in 2000, suggesting that Disney might build a third theme park in 2003. Now, obviously, that didn't happen, but there's a little blurb in here about a 9,000 car garage that was going to be built where this current parking structure that they have proposed as part of Disneyland Forward will actually be built right here. You can kind of go in and see what the original plans for Westcott would have been. Would have been a series of people movers and monorails to take you from these parking structures. Obviously, it's not quite what we're going to get, but that's where the origins of these ideas exist right here. And you can see right here, I thought I had one more slide that shows some of this stuff. I might not, which is unfortunate, but I can just tell you right now, it's the future of Disneyland under Disneyland Forward is really, really unique. They talk about the potential for people movers, for monorails, for Skyliners to get you from one area to the other. And all of that just got through the approval process that you can see right here with one load holdout from Luis Andres Perez. I can just tell you right now, this guy, he was asking all kinds of questions. He was asking about magic keys. He was asking about attractions, individual components of this thing outside of the purview of the Anaheim City Planning Commission. And at the end, he voted against the proposal, which is a shame. But that, in a nutshell, is what's happening right there. That's what Disneyland Forward is all about, and all of that encompasses, and what we just saw from this recent Anaheim City Planning Commission that just took place.
Yeah, and one thing I thought was interesting, you would think that with something of this scale, it would be get your infrastructure done first. Make sure that when you have your new things coming online of new hotels, new parks, new entertainment dining districts or whatever, you would think that they'd say, make sure that you can handle the traffic patterns. Make sure you can get enough cars in to sustain all of this and the demand that could be there. That's not the case. I heard that they actually, that the city or what, maybe it was the planning commission or the agreements, that they have to spend, I think, at least half on those new amenities when they're building.
Yes.
Is that what you heard? Is it half or something like that? Because I heard that they're not allowed to just go with just parking structures and stuff like that.
Yes. So there are stipulations. I believe there is a slide here that has some of the accounting for all this stuff. So you have like $30 million set aside specifically for affordable housing. You have $40 million specifically set aside for street improvements and transportation. That $1.9 billion investment, by the way, that they're talking about over 10 years, that is simply dedicated strictly for Disneyland Forward capacity increasing, attractions, hotels, and so forth. Everything else is on its own separate budget, and including that parking structure, which we theorize is going to be anywhere between 100 to maybe as much as $300 million at the end of the day. So this is a significant investment into Anaheim, into the resort infrastructure that is pretty decently considered. I don't necessarily like the $1.9 billion figure. I think that necessarily needs to be more, but again, this is in the first 10 years.
Yeah, I was going to say the 1.9 billion does not seem like a lot to me. It's like, it's definitely not third gate.
No.
Numbers.
No.
Not for 10 years.
No.
Not for 10 years, no. I mean, I think the budget for something like the Grand Californian, right? I think that was like $500 to $600 million just by itself, and that was back in 2020, in 1999, 2001. So you can theorize is if they build a whole bunch of DVCs, that uses up that 1.9 real quick.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking that 1.9 is all about is laying the groundwork for a lot that might be invested in Disneyland Resort going forward, but not necessarily like third gate. Maybe one big addition outside the gates, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you think that covers anything as far as expanding DCA or Disneyland? Do you think, possibly the Avengers e-ticket is wrapped up in that?
I don't think so. They were very clear, and I was interested in finding the answer to that question, Casual. Is this just for this $1.9 billion, which can be as high as $2.5 billion as stipulated in Disneyland Forward? There's like a $5 million penalty, though, that they pay to not spend that much. So it's 1.9 for the sake of argument here. Is that associated with anything else? And from all their statements, from all the questions that were asked, this 1.9 specifically goes towards Disneyland Forward improvements. Disneyland and DCA are on their own separate budgets. Okay. So that's critical to note here. And look, you can necessarily, we can get some infrastructure upgrades. I brought up this tweet right here because Disneyland Forward does stipulate that this would provide approvals for stuff like Skyliners to connect to various elements of this park, and these are the slides that they include in that proposal. I think it's like 180 pages or something. It's a long document.
They have me at People Mover.
Yep, People Movers, which. And this is why I brought up that other slide right here. You can see that People Movers were part of the original plan for Westcott. And you would take People Movers to and from these parking structures that were on either side of the resort. You can see how the monorail was incorporated into that design as well. And they do talk about pedestrian bridges and so forth, and monorails that could be implemented here as well. So that 1.9 billion could go to those things. So even though it might be infrastructural, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not fun as well. It's a lot to take in. I know.
Yeah, it is.
I'm sorry, everybody.
I mean, we had one holdout, one no vote.
Yes.
Has there been any speculation if anybody on the city council is leaning toward that, has got the same kind of axe to grind, if you will?
Believe that city council vote's going to take place April 16th, but don't quote me on that. I think that's the last date I heard on this. If this was the city council makeup as it was 5 years ago, remember with the Eastern Gateway project, which a lot of this is included here, and that Eastern Gateway project's very, very critical because it necessarily can bump out the borders of DCA. That was one of the reasons why when Disneyland Forward wasn't approved, Eastern Gateway project wasn't approved. That's why Bugsland had to go, because they had to build a Marvel somewhere. They were going to build it in Hollywoodland because they couldn't get that land to the north of it. That whole thing changed. So if it was the makeup at that time, this might have a real problem getting through right here. But from what I understand, the votes that took place for the city council members that exist currently, they're generally Disney favorable. Now, I don't want to get into the weeds of it, but that FBI investigation into the previous mayor and all that, that was definitely a black eye, for sure. Right. However, I don't think that has necessarily swayed. It didn't happen on the Anaheim City Council, Anaheim Planning Commission. It didn't happen on that level. I don't think it's necessarily going to affect the city council either. I think Disneyland really has their ducks in a row on this one. I think they've had as much outreach as they could possibly provide for the city. Everything seems to be going into in their favor. I don't think this is necessarily going to be held up on a city council vote. I think they're going to approve this.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, going back to the fireworks, Brian Sevilla says, man, that's going to be a lot of people waiting for fireworks on Main Street.
Yeah. Yes, that is very true.
As long as they have reservations, yes.
I think this is... why they might want to get, into like drone shows or more water shows, something to spread things out, getting a parade back in DCA proper, that running as well. That's where they kind of want to spend their money there. They want to get away from pyro generally, but that's a whole nother story.
Did you want to go back to the cultural stuff, the historical cultural stuff? Because
I do.
You said you wanted to get our opinion on that, and
I
think that'd be interesting to talk about.
So with what Disneyland Forward offers, right, would you be willing to let go of some of the things in Disneyland that currently exist now in order to get maybe some greater stuff down the line?
Well, it depends what we're getting rid of course. Come on.
right.
I mean, if you're talking Matterhorn, I understand it's a 60-year-old attraction now, and it's people use it as a chiropractor, or the inverse, you have to see a chiropractor after. I get it. But I would look at, this is how I would be if they were telling me they were getting rid of the Matterhorn. I would be dumbfounded. I would be heartbroken.
Yeah.
So I think it depends what we're getting rid of. Cordy, do you have any sacred pieces at Disneyland that if
Everybody has a sacred cow.
obviously other than the castle. The castle
Oh,
is,
gosh.
that's
I
well,
don't
I don't even
know.
want to say that
It's
because look what they did in Hong Kong.
it's really tough. Because you're like, I just want to keep it all and then just keep growing, you know?
Yeah.
I know that's not really possible, the situation we're in. I just, I don't know. It's really hard. Like, I will not go on the submarines, but I don't want to lose the lagoon. So it's just a really tough one. But on the other hand, I'm really excited to see what they'll do. Like, I'm open to the plans that they have. I think it's really exciting. I don't want to lose history, but I think things like the Disney Railroad on Main Street, right? Like things like that. Like some things you'll have to leave alone. I think all of Main Street would just like, don't touch it. But
I think so.
Yeah.
Everything else, I think.
You gotta get access to the other side somehow, right? And like you said, that submarine voyage. Yeah, I don't want to lose that either. But it's so low capacity. It's a maintenance nightmare. You have to hire divers. There's a lot of reasons to necessarily do something with that space. But hey, you could maintain the lagoon as well. Who knows? Bob, what do you think about all this? Are you willing to lose something for Disneyland Forward? Come on.
Well, yes and no. I think one of the things that anything that Walt touched or kind of built, I kind of would like them to stay away from. I mean, there's plenty of things in the park that have been changed and modified over the years, obviously, and extra lands that have been added, like Galaxy's Edge and the whole Critter Country area. They've kind of revamped that when they put in Splash Mountain, and I mean, look at Indiana Jones, that had to be added as well, and get rid of the Eeyore parking lot. So things like that. If it's an attraction that didn't have Walt's hand in it or anything like that, I'd probably be okay with. I mean, even if like I don't want to lose Matterhorn, but if that building's so old, if they need to tear it down, rebuild it, because that's what they need to do, but it would come back. That's fine with me. But building something, I just don't see it being a big issue or problem. If they had to tear something down over on that side, especially like over by Critter Country. What? You're like,
I don't want to lose anything over there.
Well, I don't want to lose anything over there either. But I mean, I'm sure that they would be able to figure out some way to do it. I mean, obviously they're planning on buying those streets over there. I'm sure that plus there's a lot of backstage area, right? So maybe it's not a huge area to walk through, but it's a small kind of walkway that leads to a bigger walkway in the background, that takes you over to the other parks. I mean, that's something that could do it. But think about it too. I mean, hopefully they're planning on building more monorail access, or maybe people mover, something that takes you over to the other parks. That'd be great, so that maybe you don't have to destroy anything or take anything down over in Critter Country or in that backstage area. That would be fine by me too. I think that would be a great idea if they could do it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the idea of possibly getting rid of anything in order to facilitate Disneyland Forward, but I understand that for the plans that they have, some of these things need to be necessarily excised in order for Disneyland Forward to be facilitated. So I get it. I don't like it. I want my cake and eat it too. Our resort is tiny.
Well, well, that's the thing that I find odd. And I don't know if it's necessarily going to be that it is part of Disneyland, or if they just want another entrance, exit, and access to the amenities that are going to be going over there.
Right.
Because if it's adding to Disneyland, I feel it just as a designer, I like the shape of Disneyland. It works. If you start extending weird appendages off of it, it just feels odd. But if it's just, it's another entrance over on this side, and you can access this new area that we have with these restaurants and other attractions or whatever, I'm okay with that.
Well, I don't know if you guys have all been to, Florida for Universal Studios, but they have, a train that takes you from, the Harry Potter area over to Diagon Alley. And it's, it takes you from one park to the next. And if they had something like that was kind of cool, that made sense, I'd be cool with that. That would be kind of neat, because then maybe you don't change the shape of the park, but you have some sort of transportation that takes you over to that other area. Now DCA, I don't care. They can tear down the wall over there, behind jumping jellyfish and whatnot, and they can extend it over there. That's not a problem to me. It's the whole keeping the shape of Disneyland, like you said, and keeping Disneyland itself as pure and as untouched as possible. That's great. I mean, I know things change all the time. They make changes inside the rides and around the rides and whatnot. But like Casual said, I kind of don't want to change that shape. But if you have something that's going to get me over to that new park area that's still part of Disneyland, hey, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, and if we look at like the plans for their pedestrian bridges right here, let's see if we can get that on screen. Looking at it, DCA is definitely, I think that's most likely to have an appendage attached to it, right? As Casual mentioned, I think that's most likely to be extended because California Adventure is really underbuilt when compared to Disneyland proper. And so it's like, okay, I think the majority of our investments, at least in the short term, be applied there, and then let's see how this thing develops. I think that's kind of their mindset. In the near term, probably going to be some DVCs, probably going to be more hotels. That infrastructure is severely lacking. Disney has wanted to do something about that since 2007, when Disney California was approved its $1.2 billion makeover, and that wouldn't be completed until 2012. It was expected that hotels would be accompanying that. That never actually happened. So that's a priority that they want to necessarily address with this whole thing that Disneyland Forward allows for. Also, parking. Got to have more parking. If you're going to do anything with the old Strawberry Fields or Toy Story parking lot, which you can see right here, they have like a resort mixed use kind of thing there. I don't necessarily think that's part of the permanent plans going forward. However, if you do anything there, you're going to need to address that parking situation because we're at a deficit now. I mean, I think full build out the Disneyland parking lot where California Adventure sits today, I think was like 19,000 spaces. Mickey and Friends is only 10,000 spaces. Pixar Palace parking structure, I think, is anywhere between, I think it's like 6,500 spaces. Full build out of Toy Story Land, I think it's, I want to say 7,500 spaces, I think it is what it is right now. We've just overcome the 19,000 spaces that Disneyland parking lot used to have, and yet we've added California Adventure. We've added a lot of stuff to Disneyland. We need to address these things. So those infrastructural issues, like you were saying before, Casual, those will have to be addressed before any of these more exciting plans come to fruition, unfortunately.
Jetta had something fun. It's just like, when you kind of think, when you're really...
Okay. We lost
Cordy,
your audio.
Cordy, I think we were muted.
Oh.
We're still muted.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Cordy.
Oh no.
Oh no, what? No, Cordy.
Sorry,
No.
I don't know sign language.
There's no sound. Oh no. Maybe your mic was disconnected. Okay.
Oh. She left. She'll come right back.
She'll come back
Okay.
in. All right, so she was going to tell us about Jetta's little fun thing, but I didn't catch it in the comments.
Yeah, I didn't catch
It's a curse on Jetta. Stop, Jetta.
Jetta, if you are still here, and if Cordy was referring to,
well, she did say bring back the hand stamps.
Oh, there, yeah. That's
Hello,
not
Cordy.
soon.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. No, I was just saying that there's a lot of chatter in that I'm seeing about like Tomorrowland, of course, right? That's the biggest topic of what are we doing with Tomorrowland?
Right.
But Jetta brought up something that I was like, oh, that would be so cool. But we were talking about the lagoon, and she's like, what if you put entertainment out there, right? Whether it's a bridge and you watch it from, if they set something up for people to view it on the water, or even if you were outside, right, on the perimeter, and you had some sort of entertainment in the middle. Like what a great use of space. And I mean, I know, I don't know if this was, but it's just such a great, like, I love those imaginative like ideas, how to use the current space. Like they may be thinking rip it all down, but if we were working with the space we had.
Yeah, they could totally do something like that.
I think we had to necessarily consider those ideas because Phantasmic at the end of the night, I mean, it's just crazy on the west side. Can't we necessarily spread out those crowds even further? It's an idea. Go ahead, Bob.
So MB said not liking the proposed parking. That's where the Tropicana Inn is and where we stay. But I think this whole section that's in the background there, this is behind the hotels, and this is the bare land that's across the street from Garden Walk. So there's no actual, there's nothing back there. There's just empty land at the moment. So those proposed parking structure, that'd be fine by me. And then something I mentioned several podcasts ago, Vash, is that they're talking about taking Garden Walk and making it part of, downtown Disney too. And Disney wants to buy the property from the current owner and then use that parking structure when they need to for overflow for Disneyland. And then if you scroll down on that page that you're on right now, apparently the downtown Disney District 2 would then connect to this new one that's where it says a new kind of Disney entertainment, which would be possibly more shops and restaurants and maybe hotels and things like that. So that's something that they've been talking about doing. It's not a whole lot on that right now, but that's something that they are trying to work on. And I think that would be kind of cool if they did that.
I think so. It's weird because Disney has the Garden Walk has gone up for sale multiple times, and they still haven't bought it, and at some prices that are just astronomically low, which is why it's very confusing why Disney hasn't necessarily bought it before this point. Because if you look at this map here, between going south of Disney Way, Catella, the Garden Walk is right there. You could see very easily how if you bought the Garden Walk, connected it somehow to your proposed parking structure up north, and connected it to your land to the south, how that can just kind of incorporate this whole thing very, very nicely. You can have a walking path directly, all along Disneyland property. So it's weird they haven't done it before. I do agree with you, Bob, though. I think that has to be part of the strategic mindset going forward.
Well, from what I understand from talking to one of the business owners that's over there in Garden Walk, they were waiting for Disneyland Forward to be approved by the Anaheim City Council. And then once that got approved,
gotcha.
Anaheim City Council is already okay with Disney buying Garden Walk. Then they would buy Garden Walk, and then they could say, okay, now we're buying Garden Walk, and this is what we have planned. Now that you've already approved everything, this is what we'd like to do. And then they're going to go forward. So I think that's what might happen, but time will tell.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was the case, that they were, trying to either not tip their hand as to what the full plan was, or not spark any controversy of Disney trying to snap up all of the city at that point.
That's fair. Yeah.
But it seems like they would have to already have that deal pretty much inked to an extent, because Disneyland Forward getting approved suddenly puts a higher value on the Garden Walk, because it becomes an integral piece of the puzzle. So that's why I'm saying, I think that if that is the case, like you're saying that, they're waiting for this to go for, then it's Disney having already set up that plan in place and then getting it ready. So
it makes too much sense. Oh,
whoa, well, it's casual now.
Oh, last casual. It makes a lot of sense. This, I would think that the Garden Walk is incorporated in these plans that we're not necessarily seeing. They did stress multiple times during Disneyland Forward's presentation on the Anaheim City Council or Anaheim Commission planning vote, and also before that they aren't necessarily purchasing additional land. Now, I say kinda because obviously the streets that they want to have abandoned and turned over to Disney, well, isn't that kind of acquiring land? They don't necessarily put in that language, but we can, we know what's going on here. So that's what's going around this whole thing.
Well, we got theme park casual back. I thought we had a theme park casualty there for a moment.
We almost did because my laptop was not charging, so it gave me like the like 10%, and I'm like, okay, give me a quick second, guys. I have to make sure that the cord was plugged in properly. It's like a nearly 10-year-old laptop, so cord's all free.
Gotcha.
Anyways, moving on.
Hey, real quick, Paul said to make a DCA an L-shaped park would be okay, but most of DCA is they needs to be rebuilt, like take out Pixar Pier, etc. Walt wasn't into carnivals. I kind of agree with you on that one, but the only thing is, I have a feeling they're going to be doing a lot more with moving forward with Disneyland 4 before they ever take down Pixar Pier. It's going to be many years before they do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate, but it's like Tomorrowland, right? It'll be built tomorrow, guys. Don't worry about it. It's coming.
Oh wow, Brian, he's all Garden Walk is essentially Poland during the Cold War. Thanks, Brian. Never thought of it that way.
Wow.
And I think of Garden Walk a totally different way when I go there now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's oof, man, it's tough. It's a tough spot. That's for sure. It hasn't necessarily ever done the business, I think, that the city of Anaheim or the Garden Walk proprietors envisioned for that space. So it makes sense to, all right, we'll turn it over.
Yeah, I think it's just a hair too far for the walking, traffic that they were hoping to get. So.
Yep.
But one thing I did want to mention, when we went way back last year at one of the little meet and greets that Disney had out at the parks in the area. Mm-hmm. These are the public parks out in the cities and everything. We went to one of those, and on the map where the Pixar Play Hotel is, it was labeled as something different than just hotel. If I recall, it was themed hotel experience or something along that line. And I'm curious if they're still going to go forward with something like that after the fiasco of Galactic Star Cruiser, because I imagine they were going to bring something like that to California, and I think the cooler heads may have prevailed and said, you know what, maybe we're not quite ready for this immersive themed hotel experience thing.
I can tell you right now, we were going to get a Galactic Star Cruiser type experience. The original plan for that was to have it be rolled out to every single major resort that Disney either owns or licenses, like Tokyo, for example. And so that's why they actually used the Star Cruiser language in Disneyland Forward documents, which is really interesting. I do agree with you, though. Star Cruiser was a pretty bad black eye when it comes to the implementation of hotels and so forth for the Walt Disney Company. I don't think they necessarily want to duplicate that anytime soon. However, is there a future in which an immersive hotel experience can be included in Disneyland Resort? Absolutely. Will it take are they looking to maybe convert the Pixar Place Hotel or a Star Cruiser-like experience? Probably not.
Right.
Hey, Vash, can you scroll up on your website there, because if you scroll up, it talks about the different types of lands that possibly could be coming, like the lands they have in other parks and stuff, which I think is kind of interesting.
Yes. Let me go ahead and go to the Disneyland Forward website.
Oh, I got it right here. If you want me to share it.
Oh yeah, please, if you have it.
Yeah, sorry, I thought you had it on the page there.
Don't. But
okay, hold on. Let me bring it up real quick.
Please. It's the possibilities page on the Disneyland website.
It's the possibilities page. So when you go to the possibilities page, it says imagine the possibilities, and it talks about the newest lands, and it says, hey, when Disneyland Forward is with Disneyland Forward and an updated approach, these exciting new lands and attractions coming to Tokyo Disney Sea would be the perfect inspiration for the future of Disneyland Park, like Tangled and Peter Pan, and then of course the newest Disney adventures like Frozen and Zootopia and Toy Story Land and Tron. Oh, Tron. That would be wonderful. But I think it's interesting how they bring this up, that these are the possibilities, which I think we've heard about some of these possibilities too, actually coming, and that'd be awesome if they did. So
It would be cool. I just want to stress here, guys. These are possibilities. Okay, some
Right.
people are like,
Right,
this is what we're getting. Don't think
No,
like
no,
that.
there's possibilities.
And that's why I brought up that Jason Schultz article, because it's so cool. Because in that article that was published in the OC Register in 2000 I think of June of that year, they talk about how proposed themes that could be a part of the Third Gate could be Typhoon Lagoon, could be themes that incorporate dinosaur. That was a new attraction that was added to the Animal Kingdom, right? Many Adventures of the Winnie the Pooh. They talked about possibilities back then, and obviously those never necessarily came to fruition. And if they did, it was a different film that we were thinking of. So when it comes to this kind of stuff, yes, they are giving you an idea of what they could do. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to do it. I think there's a good chance we get some really amazing things. I just don't necessarily get. I'm not necessarily on board that's going to be those specific projects.
Yep.
All right. Well, that actually is a good segue into our next topic, because we're going to start getting into what does Disney say they are doing now, which is the D23 Expo, which is the biggest, what Disney calls the ultimate Disney fan experience. And this is the place where Disney usually saves all of their biggest announcements for. These happen, every 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, correctly? And this is happening this August. Is it 9, 10, 11? Do I have that correct?
Yeah, let me go. Oh, sorry. It's, yes, 9, 10, 11 in Anaheim.
9th, 10th, and 11th. So, like I said, this is where Disney saves their biggest announcements. They have a day for the studios, basically, and then for experiences, which would be parks and cruises and anything like that, and then a day for the Disney Legends, which we'll probably get into a little bit here. But the last D23 was a whole lot of, we might do this, we could do that.
Wasn't it? Oh,
And you've got to admit, fans have taken note that is a lot of what we've been getting lately from Disney is, well, we could do this, and maybe we're thinking about doing something like this or that or whatever. So I don't know what to think of an event like this anymore. I have never gone. I'm not a con type of person. I'm not the type to go and, spend hours waiting to get into a room and then be, 300 yards from the celebrities and, that you're there to see. And I don't have to be in the room when the announcement's made. It's just not my thing. Some people really get into this. So I'm curious, panel, what are your thoughts on the D23 Expo as a whole? Will you be attending? Is there anything you're looking forward to? Is there anything you're expecting? Cordy.
Me, huh?
Yeah. Are you, well, let's start out. Are you a D23 member?
Mine's not a paying member.
Okay. I'm in the same boat. I signed up because, hey, sure, why not?
I think just kind of the conventions as a whole have just gotten out of hand, right? Because I would do conventions in the past, and it's just kind of ridiculous now. So I personally would not attend, and I know they even added that VIP experience for like $1,000 this time. So
we're going to talk about that.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'll just watch the highlights afterwards.
Right. Yeah. What about you, Vash?
Well, this is interesting. I was trying to find the tweet that I put out about this so I can use it as a visual guide. I don't think I'm going to get that. Okay. Here's what we know so far. We know that the experiences division will.
Sorry, I was laughing at Jet. I was laughing at Jetta Jade's comment. $1,000. Is John Stamos going to be there?
He might be. Yeah, it's how much you'll actually see of him with that amount of investment. Who knows, right? Okay, so yeah, and I kind of agree with Cordy right there. I think it has gotten out of hand. I mean, it was bad when I went in 2011, and that wasn't that expensive, not nearly as expensive as what the prices that we're going to see here, that's for sure. Then it had a few people who had media access, so I was able to go tag along with them to a lot of these panels. Got to sit right behind John Musker and Ron Clements, which is kind of cool during the Legends ceremony, and saw all the princesses perform because they were being inducted into the Legends category right there, which was pretty cool. It was awesome. However, a lot of those great guys that we love in Disney lore and Disney history, they're no longer there. So what are you going to see at this thing? You're probably going to see a lot of sneak peeks and stuff that's coming. So, hey, maybe you'll get to get on the ground floor of somebody who might be really big later on. But that's what you're going to see. As far as the historical panels and so forth, yeah, those are cool, but a lot of those guys, with those guys being gone, kind of it takes a lot of the luster off of those things. So for me, D23 is not necessarily for me anymore. I did it once, never doing it again. I got my fill. I'm good. However, when it comes to like the parks, right? And Casual, you were completely right about this. We have been promised, or not promised. We've been the curtain has been lifted, as Josh G. Morrow would say, right? Behind the scenes of WDI, and look at the possibilities. Look what we could do if I just said yes. Okay, we know there's going to be $60 billion over the next 10 years allocated towards the experiences division. And that is for good reason right here. Bob, if you want to share my screen real fast, I'll show briefly, and then we'll switch back to yours. This is, I'm going to get into the weeds here, folks, but don't worry. I got a point to this. Okay. So this is how Disney makes its money. So you have the kind of the left and the right part of this chart right here. On the left side, you have all the ways Disney, accumulates revenue. So you have like linear networks. Those are your, Disney Channel, National Geographic, ABC, all those kind of things, right? Then you have direct-to-consumer, DTC. Those are your streaming, Disney Plus, all of that. Still hasn't generated a profit, but you can see how much revenue it brings in. You can see content sales licensing. Those are your studio films. And unfortunately, Q4, their quarter, which was between October and December of 2023, didn't make that much, which is really unfortunate. But you can see right down there, the experiences division, the parks division, how much revenue they pulled in, $7.8 billion. And then, as it goes to the machine right here, you can see how much profit was generated from the experiences itself. That operating segment right there, that's your profit for these investments. It is massive. So it's like, okay, if this is the one area we're making money in, we're going to spend money on. $60 billion sounds like a big number. However, you got to think about it. They spent $30 billion on the studio in 2021. And didn't again in 2022. We spent another $30 billion. So in 2 years, we got $60 billion. In 10 years, we're getting $60 billion for the entire experiences division. And a lot of that's going to be spent on maintenance and some other things right there. I'm confident that we are going to get announcements from like the Avatar experience, right? We've heard a lot about that. I think that was Bob Iger's. That was the first thing that he brought up on the earnings call when he came back into the seat, taking it away from Bob Chapek. That was in February of 2023, right? We're still waiting on that. I think that's necessarily going to be a go for the expo itself. So we're going to hear about that. And James Cameron's going to be there because, well, James Cameron and Joe Rohde are actually being placed in the Legends category. So they will be in the building at the time that this experience panel takes place. Remember, James Cameron lives in, I think, New Zealand. So I think we're gonna have a twofer there for sure. Are we necessarily going to get more updates on the Marvel e-ticket? I think so. I'm pretty confident. That's been in the works for a while, ever since 2019, y'all. That's when they originally announced that thing. Now it's taken on a different make for sure, but I think we're going to get some updates on that. And then finally, are we necessarily going to get updates on Walt Disney World and what they have planned? I would think so. We already know that there has been permits filed. Let me see if I can actually get those real quick. We know that there's been permits filed for work to start construction right there on this kind of construction umbilicus on the back half of Animal Kingdom. And you can actually see that right there on that map. And then Braden actually has a nice kind of 3D map right here showing this is going to be the headquarters for Imagineering on the back end of Animal Kingdom. And so this is all to facilitate construction for Dino Land. That for sure is going forward, I think, and we'll hear more updates at the expo. But beyond that, it's anybody's game.
Well, that shifts us up to Bob. And when it comes to D23, will you be attending?
Well, now you guys make me feel like I shouldn't.
No.
So here's the thing. I've never been to D23. I've always wanted to go. And yes, I am a gold member, and I would like to take my daughter. I actually talked to her about it, and she sounded like she wanted to go. So I was thinking about maybe going the first 2 days. Although I was talking to Casual last night about some of the ticket prices, which are kind of crazy, especially on where you end up sitting for the actual events, to all the announcements and stuff like that, and they are kind of expensive depending on where you're going to go and stuff. If I go, I'm probably going to do for sure Saturday, but maybe Friday and Saturday, just because I haven't been. I'd like to experience one, especially since I am a gold member for D23. So I'm planning on trying to get tickets for tomorrow, and as you guys can see, tickets do go on sale tomorrow for the D23 gold members at 12 noon. And then on the 27th, the Visa card holder presale opens at 12 noon. And then all D23 members, it's open on the 3/28. So I am going to look into it tomorrow, and I probably will end up getting a ticket for Saturday and possibly Friday for me and my daughter. So yes, I'm planning on going, but we'll wait and see. It's something that I would like to do, but I got to be honest with you. I kind of feel like Vashsky. I kind of feel like I know what they're going to probably talk about and announce.
Yeah.
I still think it would be fun to be a part of it, especially because this year's going to be a lot different. The way they're doing this whole seating thing at the Honda Center. And a lot more people are going to be able to attend, which I think is interesting. And it's going to be in the evening for these events, these announcement events, not in the morning like they normally do. So you basically could spend your whole entire day over at the Anaheim Convention Center. And then in the evening, you head over to the Honda Center. That logistically, that's going to be a pain, especially for parking, I think, because, you pay for parking over the Anaheim Convention Center, or if you're like me, you just use your Disneyland pass to go over to, Toy Story parking lot. And then, later you have to try to find parking again for, the Honda Center. But I think I'm probably going to try to do it. And if I do, then obviously I'll let you guys know, and I'll try to cover it. Although it's very interesting and we'll talk about this in a moment about what they're allowing and not allowing into the Honda Center. So, but
Right.
Since we're talking about tickets, let's go ahead and bring that up real quick. So the 3-day event that they're having is Friday, August 9th, Saturday, August 10th, and Sunday, August 11th. So on Friday, they're going to do the Disney Entertainment Evening Showcase. And then on Saturday, they're going to talk about the Disney experiences and the evening showcase. So obviously, Disney Entertainment will be all the movies and TV shows, I'm sure, and Disney Plus. And then Disney experiences evening will be all about the parks. And then, of course, Sunday is a Disney Legends evening showcase where they'll have all the people who are the legends showing up. And actually, it's funny because Casual and I are talking about how many people of those legends are really going to be there and show up. So it'll be interesting to see. But these are the ticket options.
Just real quick, I was curious about the Legends thing. Is it typical that they all show up, or is it?
It's pretty typical that they all kind of show up. It's actually surprisingly rare to not have a legend show up to receive their award, unless obviously it's they passed away. Yeah. Plus, exactly. So it's pretty standard, I would think. Amazing people like George Lucas and some people that you would think, would they necessarily dedicate the time to do this? Yes, in fact. So it's pretty big. But I'll say this, man. I mean, to get 100 level viewing, and we'll go on here. So I'll give it right back to you, Bob. to get 100 level viewing, what I had back in the day, it's now what, a $2,000 to $2,500 endeavor
Yep.
now. Oh,
Yeah, we're getting
They're
to
gonna
that
start
part
giving
right
everyone
here.
heart attacks.
oh,
All
Well,
right.
let's just talk about the ticket options first. So,
please.
if you want to go Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, it's $99 for the Disney Ultimate Fan Pass, and then the 3-day Ultimate Fan Pass is $297. Is what you're going to pay. Ooh, you're saving a few bucks. Not really. It's so the same. But if you want the 3-day preferred gold member exclusive for the D23 Ultimate Preferred Fan Pass, well, that's $999 and limited quantities on those. So interesting. We'll come back to the seating chart in a moment here.
Mhm.
And this is just, let's see. This is for the Anaheim Convention Center and the Honda Center access. If you just want the Anaheim Convention Center access, then it's gold members are $79 and $89 for general members, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And of course, 3-day pass is $209 or $259.
Now those options right there, do those give you access to any of the panels at the Anaheim Convention Center, or do you just get that with the Honda Center Pass?
This is everything with the convention center.
Okay.
If you want to include the Honda Center, then these are the prices that you would have to pay for the Honda Center.
I see. Okay.
So basically, you're paying about $20 more or $10 more, depending on where you fall. And then of course they do.
And again,
go ahead.
with what we're looking at right now, this is where the prices start.
Yes.
These are starting prices. We haven't even gotten to the whole
Prices.
where you're going to sit now for the Honda Center. Well, hold on to your hearts on that one. Whew. And your wallets. So they are going to have some limited edition merchandise there. They're going to have some, D23 pins. There's a package you can buy with a backpack, a t-shirt, water ball, hat, and then lanyard. And you can see the lanyard here. All right. Tickets at the glance. Basically, if you are attending one of these events, you get all the presentation shops, immersive experiences. They're all a part of it. If you want the Disney Entertainment Showcase and the Experiences Showcase and the Disney Legends ceremony, then you have to get the 3-day pass for that, or you can buy these individual passes right here. And then the only one that gets floor seating is the D23 Ultimate Preferred Pass, Fan Pass. So here's where you're going to have a heart attack.
There we go.
The ticket prices. So for 1 day in the 400 level of the Honda Center, it's $99. If you want the upper rows, it's $297. If you want sections 100 level, which is 110 to 112, it's $1,000 basically, $999. And then if you're just going for a 1-day pass, it's $79 for the gold member and $209 for the 3-day. But here's the this is the ultimate because it includes the Honda Center stuff. So if you want the 1 day for a 400 level row, it's $149, 200, $189, 200 levels $249. For the 3-day, it's $447 for the 400 level, 200 levels $567, 200 level is $747. And then for the 100 level for the 3-day pass, if you want sections 107 to 109, it's $1,500. Sections 104 to 106, $2,099, and sections 101 through 103 are $2,599. Oh, sorry, I'm having a heart attack here.
Right.
Hold on, everyone.
And
I'm verklempt.
Just to be in the room in the Honda Center, okay, for the 3 days starts $300. That's the starting price to be inside that auditorium. And again, with the experiences, that's usually live streamed. Legends kind of half and half sometimes. Maybe they'll live stream at this time. But for that studios panel, which they show a lot of stuff that you cannot find anywhere else. And yes, they do take your devices before you actually enter into that studios panel right there. And they have night vision goggles. So if anybody's recording, good luck. That exclusive stuff right there, again, you can only see if you have maybe a 1 day $99 pass right there, or included in your 3 days. So it's a lot, folks. It's the buy-in's pretty high here.
Are you saying they won't let electronic devices in there?
Yeah, no. So only for the studios panel. I think the Legends panel, I think you could still bring electronic devices in there. But for the studios, where they're going to be showing you like previews for their upcoming slate of films, the films that they have in production with people actually coming out on stage, and like Kevin Feige, for example, talking about the next Marvel project or whatever. That is all you have to submit your electronic devices at the gate.
Yeah, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Now,
So,
do they let media have their devices? Do they get to have
They
access?
might now. They might now, yeah. But you can't record at all.
Yeah. So interesting because, typically at a concert venue, right? The one thing that they usually don't let in is big bags. And if they're fairly big, they have to be, clear bags. From what we understand now, there's no bags allowed at all, period, into the Honda Center unless you are they're medically necessary, that you have to have them, and they're like a 12 by 12. Otherwise, it's basically no bag, isn't it? Now,
so you can have small purses, and that's 5 by 9 by 2 that are allowed. But you are correct. No backpacks, no big bags. That goes for clear as well. They're just having small purses in there. Now that's significant because if you're coming from the convention center and you have merchandise, you got a problem. So
right.
Understand, folks. They're going to enforce that.
But typically when you go to a concert venue, they usually don't confiscate your phones or anything like that. So, do you think they're going to be able to confiscate everyone's phones for this event?
For at least the studios panel. I mean, unless they are not going to show anything. I mean, that would be pretty bummer. But if they do, yeah, they would have to go through that process. And they did it for what is it? The Anaheim's Convention Center's version of like Hall H or whatever. It's not quite Hall H, but I think it was like a 9,000 seat venue. They're going to use 12,000 here. They can do it.
I'm feeling really sad now. Maybe I want to go.
I know. Sorry, 7,000 seats. Yeah.
Let's show. Do you have the seating chart?
You know what? I didn't realize it. Sorry, I thought I had the seating chart up. I have it right here. One sec. There. Oops. I just did stop sharing. Hello. Let me bring that back up. There we go. So that's the seating chart. Sorry, I thought I had that up for everyone.
No, you're good.
Yeah. So if you could zoom in a little bit, the numbers are hard to see. The $999 3-day ticket for gold members is that 100 section that's furthest away from the stage. So that's what you're paying $1,000 for 3 days.
Right, and it incrementally goes up from there. So, the 107, 109, the one step forward, that's what, 1,500, and then 2,000, and then 2,500.
2,600.
It's a lot, folks. It's a lot, folks. I'm telling you, this is a lot of money.
That is really crazy.
And you'll notice that the 2,600 price tag has the biggest of the 100s section.
Yeah, so here's that chart again, and you can kind of juxtapose that against the seating chart right there. Just to, like I said, just to be in this auditorium right here at the very upper levels, it's going to be $100 per day.
That's crazy.
And I believe that does not include the processing fees. So we don't know how much the processing fees are. If it's going to be like Ticketmaster, you're looking at what, $20 additional dollars.
Yeah. And I believe they are going to use Ticketmaster. They just actually shared here how that process is going to work.
Right.
And they use Ticketmaster as the option because it's a Ticketmaster venue.
Right.
So.
Great. Yeah, I'm starting to think I'm just going to the Anaheim Convention Center for maybe the entertainment's one I'll go the second night. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's a lot, folks. It's a lot. I don't necessarily know if the ultimate pass is worth it. It used to have like the sorcerer's pass that used to get you into all the panels and stuff. I think that's actually that wasn't a terrible value, even though it was expensive. It was plus $1,000. That wasn't so bad because you did get access to those panels, which are so good. Or at least they were. I don't know what they're going to be like this year, but now
it looks like it's first come first serve. So
or they have the lottery system like they've implemented before, right? So
Yeah.
like you buy your ticket and you enter into a lottery of the panels that you want. And I know in Mondo's case, Five Fires, he was pretty disappointed because he only got like access to like merch or something, and even though he necessarily attempted to get in some more panels, that was just a lottery that came back up for him.
Yeah.
So I do see Doom Buggy saying, or Doom Boogie, sorry. Barry, definitely check it out. It's a good time if you're into film stuff. Even better, I saw the indie Star Wars Marvel costumes, pop-ins, Tron, etc. It was sweet. So, all right. Well, thanks, Doom Boogie. I will look into it tomorrow and buying tickets.
Yeah, and for me, I'm not saying that it's not worth it for anybody to go. I'm saying for me, I don't like like having an experience like Mondo did, where it's like you want to go see something, you paid the money, and then because of the way the luck of the draw, you get a panel that you weren't really all that interested in. That's not how I like to spend my money. So. But if and for me, it's like movie props. It's like they're nice and everything, and cool to see some of them, but it's not a big draw for me. The same way the After Dark events, I'm not big into the catching all the new characters and the photo ops. That's not my thing. But some people love it, and for them, it's a good value and they enjoy it. That's fine. For me, it's just not my thing. That's all.
I like how they're doing assigned seating now for the Honda Center. This was a big source of contention for fans because in years past they would be first come first serve, right? And so I remember a year in which people were waiting for the animation panel as part of the studio panel, and they were waiting all night. And then when time finally came, you had some convention employees necessarily let other people go first before them that were waiting all night. That got very contentious right there. There have been fistfights on the floor, both in 2009, 2011. It's kind of a hectic place, folks. Everybody wants to be there. And so the way they divvied it up this time is a little bit more fair. Assigned seating is going to be great. Honda Center, bigger venue, great stuff right there. But how they're handling the smaller panels, I think it's an open question. So I agree with Casual's assessment here.
Yeah, I don't know. The one thing I would like to go see is like all the vendors and stuff like that. I would love to go check that kind of stuff out. And maybe that's what I would do. It was just go and get a ticket for the convention center and just be able to go check that out. But not even bother with trying to deal with Honda Center.
I don't know. That's what I'm thinking about right now. Like, I really want to deal with Honda Center.
If they do a what if again,
they can't. There's no way. They will be booed off the stage, I think. If they do another thing like that where it's not a definite this is coming and what we're breaking ground in 2 months, if they don't have something like that, it could be the end of their conventions because people are just going to be like, I'm not going anymore. There is no point to go because you're not giving us anything that we want. So they have to be announcing, and with everything that's going on at Animal Kingdom, that's going to be what they announce at the very least. So we know that something's moving over there. Whether or not they admit what the Avatar experience is, we shall see. But
it'd be interesting to see too. We were just talking about Disneyland Forward. So what happens if Disneyland City Council or Anaheim City Council approves Disneyland Forward? Then maybe they might. Hey, maybe they'll do a little what if for that. I don't know, but maybe I don't know.
Yeah, they might have a what if segment for that. But since it's a 30-year plan, it's all that, that might be acceptable. However, you have to have something more substantial to take with that.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, honestly, with Disneyland Forward, it could be that's when they announced the Avengers e-ticket finally, happening.
They have to, right?
Because I mean, they've got to do something. I mean, if Disneyland Forward gets approved, there has to be something that they show movement on that gets the fans excited. If they don't do that, that's a big PR miss because that's your best chance to really make the big splash. And if you don't do it, people are going to start questioning. Okay, what the heck is this Disneyland Forward? What exactly are you guys going to do if you're not even going to be willing to announce it at the your first chance that you have, to make that kind of announcement? because what's 2 years until the next time they can, utilize it. And, otherwise it's just, going to be another blip in the news. The hardcore fans are going to get excited, but it's not going to be the bigger news where, the more casual fans are paying attention to what Disney's doing the way they do with D23.
Right.
Well, and I would think too, given the fact that we're only 4 years away from the Olympics, right? They would have to announce, especially if Disneyland Forward gets approved, they would have to say, hey, we are doing, this is what we're going to be doing. And here's some new things that are going to be coming out. I mean, this is the perfect year for D23 to announce, hey, in 4 years, we are planning on having this. And, even though it's good, this looks great, it's not going to look like this. Just kidding. But I'm sure they would do something like that. I'm sorry. Was I referring to Tiana's Bayou Adventure? Later. But no, seriously, it would be a prime time for them to announce something that's coming in 4 years, and then 2 years they can say, okay, so here's what we're doing now, and you're only 2 years away. I kind of feel like they might do something like that.
They might.
Yeah. What's your take, Cordy? You've been kind of quiet over here, and we're shouting over each other.
Acquiring minds. What do you think?
Just taking it all in, and I mean, to be completely honest, I'm more the person, like, I go to the parks, I love it, I have my memories. You guys, that's why I'm interested in what you guys talk about, because I don't go, I guess, as deep into all of this as you do. So I'm kind of here just listening to all of this. I just what's going through my mind though is a lot of the things that it's just hard, because we as pass holders, right, years past, they would shut down the park and we would get events, right? And we would kind of have these. I remember, and gosh, for the life of me, I can't remember who it was, but we went into where the Lincoln Theater is, and the whole. Do you remember?
Yes.
Yeah. So
I think there was a panel hosted by Leonard Moulton one year.
Okay,
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to walk through Roger Rabbit, got to see the Country Bears behind the scenes.
Yeah, so that's kind of what's going through my head when we're talking about all this and paying so much money to we don't even know what we're getting for it, and it's just kind of sad, it's like as being it used to mean something having being a pass holder for okay, there we go. Being a pass holder for so long, and it kind of meant something. So I guess, yeah, I'm not bitter. I'm just.
Should we talk?
I'm not bitter. I'm just a little salty.
Yes, there you go. Just a little salty.
Go ahead.
I will say though, Cordy, I'm kind of surprised, because I thought for sure you're gonna be like, "Yep, I'm going to go to D23." The After Dark events and all that stuff, but D23 is not up your alley, huh?
No, the After Dark events, I feel like I'm excited for those, because, and I like going the first night, so I want to go in without knowing what's, you kind of have an idea of what's going to happen, but I like to see.
Oh, we lost her again.
Oh no,
we got frozen Cordy.
Am I back?
Oh,
you're back.
Oh,
you're
back. Okay, you're coming.
But yeah, no,
the
After Dark events are those are fun. So I enjoy those. It's just I don't know. I think that's what's always in the back of my mind, like Little Mermaid, when that was being built, or when it was still kind of an idea, like we could see that in and I always forget things, but where, oh gosh, what is that little room called in DC? But they have a model there.
The cellar.
Blue Sky Cellar. That's not going to be Blue Sky Cellar anymore, though.
Yeah, so you just kind of, those were, it was just a given, like, oh, here's something exciting for you. So I don't know. It's just, yeah, I'm just salty.
Maybe we can use that as a great jumping off point for maybe the popularity of these events in general. Not just
I was going to say the after hours events have been people have gone gangbusters for those for several years now. They've been a very big draw. Most of them selling out within hours. They've done a variety of themes to them. So I will give Disney that they are constantly, refreshing things. But we do have a little bit of an issue starting to crop up in that Star Wars nights, which were among the most popular, are still currently not sold out. There is only one night that is sold out for Star Wars nights. My personal opinion is they took away the fireworks. Everybody loves the booms. I'm sorry. That is a huge draw. I mean, when you were watching the fireworks last year, people, when, you heard, the music, and then you hear, "This is the way," people went nuts. There is something about it. And that was one of the first things that everybody on Twitter was noticing. No fireworks show. So if the Star Wars nights are having trouble selling out, is that a canary in the coal mine for the after hours events, that either they need to not do as many nights for some of them, or could it be that the public is getting a little tired of the same old on some of these? Is it the economy? People just don't have that kind of money anymore. What our resident after dark events, Cordy, you're one of the experts in this. You go to almost all of them, I think. What's your thoughts on what do you think Star Wars night isn't selling out?
Well, they did add nights, right? So we have more nights than we did last year. The fireworks, it's funny because I got my tickets before I even realized that fireworks weren't on the list. I just kind of went in blind, assuming, of course, they're going to give us the fireworks. So, and then when they announced that we were going to have, the fireworks that are coming April 5th, right? On select nights.
Fire of the Rising Moons, is that right?
So it's like, then I'm like, okay, maybe that's why, I don't know. I just try to rationalize and, but, I think if they were really to listen to us, they would know. It's not like we're asking for a lot, like I'm seeing it in the chat, but I've heard it a lot over the last more than a year. But even things like, give us something special. Can you bring back Captain EO? We've got this empty building. Can we do something like that at an After Dark event? At least. That would be like, oh, wow. Like, I think that would really, those kinds of things would really get people, motivated to buy a ticket, because they're like, oh my gosh, I have to, if this is it, might be the last time I ever see it. You can talk yourself into these things with those. And
you know what? I would actually be impressed if Disney were to do something like that, but not even announce it and let it be a complete surprise. Yeah. I would be very impressed if they did something like that, where it was like first night, suddenly everybody, gets their little pamphlet and it's like, oh my God, Captain EO is in the thing. It would be a mad rush. Yeah. But then again, it's one of those things. They only do 5-6 hours of party time. You'd be in line for 6 hours to watch Captain EO. Some people would be, if you wanted to watch it. That's the other issue. That's with the after hours. It's like, it's such a crunch time frame, something like that, and it's like you get the mad rush. Everybody wants to see it, and it becomes, hey, I just paid $160 to watch Captain EO at 1 a.m.
Get it on YouTube. Oh, sorry, did I say that?
But that's just. But I do agree with you. They could do a little bit more of that special stuff.
Yes.
And I think that would get somebody like me to, who's on the fence about most of it. It's like, I don't really. If there was, the possibility of these special weird little things that you just never know what kind of trick they're going to pull that time, and wow everybody, that could possibly make me start buying a ticket to some of these events.
Value is definitely got to be part of the equation here. I believe they increased the price for Star Wars Night to $159, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, it's $159 and $169 depending on what night you go. It's Tuesday nights are $159, $169 for Thursdays. So
gotcha. Okay.
I agree with you. It's a value thing. And sorry, Vash, not to cut you off.
Hey, I'm glad you.
It's not just the value thing with the money, but then if you're going to cut things out and then you're only going to use this limited time,
Right.
even though they've added more dates this year, and I think because it did sell out last year, it doesn't really matter because like you added more dates, but you're giving us less for more money. It's that whole, okay, why do I need to go type thing? And I got to be honest with you, I'm shocked that only one night is sold out. And I think as we get closer, I'm sure some of the other nights will probably sell out. But right now, I'm just shocked.
You know, it's one of those things. Is a $160 event or $170 event in which you're only going to get 4 hours in the park worth going to something that's going to feature, you know, like a Fans of the Forest costume cavalcade? It's like, is that necessarily worth it? This kind of a Jedi training thing that they have in front of Small World, Captain Phasma, and stuff like that. It's like you need a little bit more. So I agree with you guys. I think value needs to be put forward here. It needs to, you know, make up when you have, I guess, when you have guests judging whether or not they're going to be paying extra for Disneyland, because a lot of these guests are annual pass holders anyway. What am I getting? You know, I think it's just that kind of simple equation right there. So can we get a, I don't know, Seasons of the Force type element in Tomorrowland for these nights right here, augmented with, I don't know, something in that Captain EO theater. Maybe it's Captain EO itself. Maybe it's the Jedi film that they had before. Can we get something on the water? Phantasmic. Can we get, you know, fireworks at least? You're going to have Fire of the Rising Moons, but not included in Star Wars Night. That's bizarre. I think the value statement is just not there, and it's really interesting too because, you know, annual passes are still on sale. How long has it been since those were reactivated, right?
Ooh,
and the
we're going there now.
Right? Adrian from Mouse Planet right here, Adrian Vincent Phoenix, talked about how this is the longest period of time. You can actually see this quote right here if I can find it. This is, it's been almost 2 weeks. This is from March 18th, by the way, so this is actually a week old. It's been 3 weeks, but been 2 weeks since Disneyland resumed sales of Magic Key passes, and at the press time, all but one Magic Key type was still available for purchase. This is the longest period that Magic Key passes have been available for sale since the program debuted. And you can see right here, all of these are still available. No queue necessary to get into this. You can see the Enchant, Believe, and Inspire are available. Are people necessarily looking at this and going, where's the value, guys? Come on. I mean, why don't we have a nighttime parade like, you know, the electrical parade, or maybe hey, when can we do this again? You know, can we get Paint the Night back? Can we get regularly showing daytime parade at DCA? Can we get something in the Hyperion? You know, I think a lot of these people are kind of looking at this from a value perspective, and that goes for Star Wars Nights and Magic Keys sales.
Yeah, and for me, it's one of those things. It feels like you pay that exorbitant amount of money, and then your special perk is being allowed to spend more money on these special treats or the special merchandise. It's like, right. I just don't get it. You know, you start feeling like in order to have the full experience, I just got to keep paying. You know, and it gets tiresome for a lot of people, and I'm one of those. You know, it's like I'm the type that I don't like to keep paying for stuff like that.
Yes,
you know?
Especially now when you have what we've seen historic inflation numbers for the last few years. Obviously, it's starting to come down just a little bit, but you know, a lot of those inflationary measures haven't necessarily happened. The you know, how much people are being paid is necessarily commensurate to keep up with those inflationary increases right there. I think a lot of people are getting a little tight in the wallet, and when you're constantly nickel and dime, this is what Bob Iger was talking about when it's like, oh, maybe we're going a little bit too far, over earning in this area. So we've seen a lot of deals happen at Walt Disney World as a result of that. When is this going to happen at Disneyland? I think it needs to.
Yeah. Yeah, and for me, I think Oogie Boogie is going to be the telltale. If Oogie Boogie has the same struggle as Star Wars Nights, then
that's crazy.
Then we're really going to that's going to be a shockwave. But I don't think we're going to see that with Oogie Boogie. I think Oogie Boogie is going to be fine.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like Brian Sevilla pointed out, Star Wars Night is an event for all ages, but definitely more geared toward kids. And in April, kids are still in school and all the dates are school nights. So it kind of makes it, a little bit of sense in that, if you're going to be spending that kind of money, having the kids out till midnight, 1 a.m., yeah, it's going to be a little rough on a school night.
Well, yeah, I mean, I even thought about buying, my daughter a ticket for the night, but it's like a Tuesday or Thursday. It's like, okay, might be able to get away with Thursday. Oh, great. I can spend more money on a Thursday night. I don't know. I'm debating still. And since tickets are readily available, we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. So what is next up here, Casual?
Should we cover? Well, actually, do you mind if we cover my post real quick?
I was going to say, we got the new turnstiles that seem to be blazing around all over Instagram.
Yeah. So yeah, no kidding. Hold on for a second. Let me bring
please.
this up real
quick. Go ahead.
So I had the opportunity last week to go to Disneyland with my dad and Thursday morning. And when I got there, I was pleasantly surprised to see that they actually had, and how come it's not showing up here? Sorry, give me 1 second. There it is. They actually had the turnstiles that are the new test turnstiles at DCA open. And it was the second morning they'd ever done this. And so I walked up and said, can we go through this area? And they said, we're looking for people who want to do it. And we appreciate anyone that wants to take the time to do that. So I'm going to show you the video real quick that I posted on Instagram so you can see it. By the way, to everyone who's viewed it, thank you so much. I've got over 56,333 views as of right now, which is crazy. But this is the video. So bear with me real quick because I don't think the audio starts right away. So real quick, so this is what it looks like in the front, and you can see there's a camera there, right there with little Mickey ears. I think it's kind of cool. It says welcome, and it says, scan your ticket or device. And right there where you see the QR code down below, that's where you're going to scan your ticket or your phone. That day, they were not testing the Magic Bands. They will be testing the Magic Bands, and you can barely see right down here below. They actually have the round circle, and you'll see it here in a moment because we're going to stop the video again when it shows the two women who are going through the turnstile. Now, unfortunately, I was scanning my dad in, and so I didn't have my other phone that day because I wasn't streaming in the morning because we were just having a Father Sunday, so I couldn't stream him going in. I wanted to show that whole process, especially with a scooter. But we are going back again. You know what? We're going back tomorrow, but I don't know if we'll be there early enough to use it. If we do, I'll definitely, have my other phone with me so we can do it, film it. But it's really cool because once you scan your ticket, then you're going to see this, and it's to say, take your photo, and it says, please remove your sunglasses and look forward while your photo is being captured, and then it's going to take your picture. Now, what I thought was interesting is that when it takes your photo, you can be of any height. They don't move the camera. The camera is just one fixed camera. My dad was in a scooter and he was pretty low. And I said, does he need to stand up or something? And they're like, nope, just have him move close enough to it, hit the button to take the photo, and I'll take his photo. Yeah. So then once I took the photo, I was looking so happy there. But I was so focused on, doing a video and capturing this. And I was kind of just overwhelmed because I didn't realize I was going to be doing this. So I quickly got my photo taken, and then it shows the arrow saying, please proceed. And then the gates open right away. And I'm going to show you the next person who actually does this. And you'll see right here. So she's hitting the button to take her photo right now. Took her photo. I don't know why she's waving her hand. It's so funny that she's waving her hand at it. But you'll see the gates are going to open right here. And they close. And then the next person, same thing. They scan their ticket. Ask her to take her picture. She hits a button. That's it. Sorry, let me go back real quick. I forgot to pause it and talk about it. So you can see the Magic Band area is right below where you scan your ticket. So that's where you're going to do it. They have the middle section blocked off. Basically, everyone's able to go with their wheelchair or scooter. If for some reason, you've got a bigger stroller or something like that, I think that's why they have this area where it's stanchioned off, but they can move the stanchions, to, let you through. But they do have cast members on the other end. So a lot of the comments I've been getting, as you see in these posts, are that, well, who's going to call me princess as I walk through, and who's going to greet me? Well, people are still going to be there to greet you and take care of anything if something comes up.
Right.
So they do have like the cast members standing over there just to kind of make sure that everything is working properly. Some of the people, like, I'm gonna pick on Valientes here because he says, feels like you're in an airport, not a theme park, but nice you got to try it. Other people have said other comments like, oh, it seems too slow. It's going to take us forever to get through. And a lot of people were being kind of negative about it. But to be honest with you, it was fast. Now, we had to scan in with a cast member before we could use the turnstiles just because, they were basically part of this program. So it had to read us. You won't have to do that. And my understanding is once you take your picture and your photo, you won't have to do it again every single time. You just scan your pass and it'll just let you through. So, and we already have our pictures on our, tickets and everything and our magic keys. So
Yep.
I'm not sure why you would have to take a picture every single time unless it was a brand new ticket. So,
Yeah.
But is it doing the facial recognition to match the photos?
well, good point. I don't know. Maybe.
I believe they might be. I believe it might be a mixed system.
Darn them.
In which there's a cast member verifying on the back end that you are indeed that person. But you can see right here, if you share my screen there,
Sure.
this is the Disneyland Paris implementation of this. This debuted, I believe, in 2019. This is from BioReconstruct right here. You can see a very similar process taking place here. So this allows them multiple advantages, and we'll get into the privacy aspect in just a second, Casual, but this allows them to be more ADA compliant. It allows ECVs, wheelchair strollers to use any entry gate. Previously, if anybody's been to Disneyland Resort, you had like that one middle gate, on each side of the both cast members right there. So this allows for pretty much every vehicle to go through uninhibited. Also, too, this is probably going to cut down on the amount of cast members required to facilitate entry. And we know it's been a big problem for many, many years. The entrance process to the Disneyland Resort has been just horrendous. I would say ever since the late 2001 when the security bubble was added. It's been kind of a nightmare. So this has been a long time coming. They're investing like tens of millions of dollars into this. I think the total investment right here, if I remember the permit filing specifically, we're saying that was like a $10 million investment to do all this. So that's why they're starting with a small scale first, right. And then they're going larger later. Yes, it does look like facial recognition technology is going to be a part of this. And so remember a few years ago, Disneyland Resort was actually testing that whole process out and seeing, if there was going to be any pushback. They must have conducted some polling and some studying to suggest that maybe they're not going to see pushback in the way of facial recognition being used, or maybe they're not being upfront about it. We know that Epic Universe, though, is going to be using facial recognition for not just entry to that park, but also activities beyond the gates. So it's coming to a theme park near you, it would seem.
Yeah, and these are scheduled to be installed next year. So it's sometime 2025 that these would be implemented across both DCA and Disneyland.
And Jenna had a question about, and I had asked you, Bob, because I was like, because I heard from someone else that your name showed up and all of this, but when you went through it, it didn't show your name. So so that's good, because that was a little troublesome to hear from the other source. But
I can see that for sure.
But if I recall, when I went to Disneyland Paris last year, it didn't show my name either. It just showed my photo when I went through. So, and it was very similar. By the way, they only had one cast member. So see how they're set up here for Paris. Thanks for bringing it back up. They only had one cast member standing on the other end for several turnstiles. I don't know if that'll be the case here, because I still think there's going to be one cast member per, well, I say turnstile, but I'm so used to that, the entryway.
Right.
But really, there weren't a lot of people going in at the Disney Hollywood, the Walt Disney Studios park. But at Disneyland Paris, yes, they had quite a few cast members there to kind of watch each of the entry gates. But the other park that wasn't as busy, they didn't. However, it's not the same as DCA here. DCA is very, very popular, and we have tons of entryways. So I have a feeling that we're still going to have one cast member per. Hey, look at that! It's Barry Place 28.
There it is, right there.
Who? Let's see now. Now we're up to 56,377 views. So yeah, but thank you for letting me show it to you guys. I liked it. My dad thought it was great. He actually liked it. To me, it was a very quick entryway. I did not think it was. Took very long to use it. And I'm looking forward to seeing, how it's implemented once they do implement it, because again, it is dependent on how fast you scan yourself and go through, but it's not that difficult. So
yeah, it's I as touchless as it possibly can be, at least on subsequent visits, as quickly as we can get it. I think this will be a tremendous help to the traffic patterns at Disneyland Resort. We know it gets real bad on some days. I mean, we've seen both lines to get into each respective park touch each other in the middle of the Esplanade before. It's why we were supposed to get fountains and trees and stuff in there. We just can't get those things if these lines keep backing up in the way that they do. So it could necessarily facilitate some beautification in the Esplanade area if these lines get down. I think it's a worthwhile investment. There's been a lot of quality of life improvements actually recently as part of the Disney Resort. I know that the app allows you to scan through a number of days for reservations now. Previously, it was limited to like the one day, the one time, right? Now you have this kind of multi-search option. We have seen permits being filed for fountains in Main Street, in Fantasyland, and in Frontierland to be reworked to add in bottle refilling stations. That's kind of a cool thing. So we're seeing these kind of little things pop up here. But I would say, even though people don't necessarily think about the entrance turnstile thing, I think it's a big deal in terms of the quality of life aspect for visiting Disneyland Resort nowadays.
Yeah, it should be a good thing. I would hope.
Yep. And
Alan, I don't know, because you guys have had experience with it, Bob and Vashsky, like for if they're using facial recognition, he asked why worry about scanning a ticket? But I guess it still has to kind of go hand in hand, right?
Well, so what I remember from Paris, that I had to actually get my picture taken the first time, and then after that, every time I scan my ticket, it scanned me and it just let me in. I didn't have to take a photo button or push that button every single time.
So this is more testing phase. So they're like,
yeah, I think it's testing. That's why they're doing that. I mean, to be honest with you, I kind of prefer it because one of the things I can't stand is Universal Studios Hollywood. One of the things you have to do over there is they have the fingerprint scanners. Well, unfortunately, I don't know why, but I'm one of those individuals where the fingerprint scanner doesn't always read me, and it sometimes takes forever, or I have to have a cast member let me through. And for the lockers, it's the same thing. You have to push your thumb or finger on there, and if my hand's too dry or whatnot, it won't read my fingers, and then I have to get a cast member to come over and open it up for me. It's just a problem. I can't stand the fingerprint things. So to me, I'm fine with the face recognition, and it's a quicker process. It's faster. It's easier. I'm okay with it. To be honest with you, when it comes to like the lockers at Disneyland, I'm fine with the code. I think that works just fine for me. But as far as getting into the park, I'm okay if they just take a quick scan. As it is now, they look at your photo when you scan in, and to make sure you're who you are. This is just going to be a scanner that's going to scan your face to make sure you're who you are, and you walk in. So
I think there are going to be intermediary mediums for the near term, right? So like tickets or barcodes or that. I think we are getting into an age though that where you can just kind of walk up to the camera and it automatically registers. You know, it knows your profile, knows the account on file, knows that you have a reservation, lets you in. I think we're getting there, and this is definitely laying the groundwork for that. But in the interim, you're going to have some medium like.
So you're
tickets or
telling me
something
those hand stamps that smell like lemon are not coming back?
No. Those are gone, man. Those are gone.
We used to put it all over our face and then go on the dark rides.
Oh, geez.
I know some friends who would get hand stamps at Knott's and use them at Disney. Yeah, those days are gone, folks.
Yeah. Gotta be quick.
I have no idea what you're talking about, by the way.
Oh, okay. Maybe I just heard that somewhere.
All right.
You know,
Go ahead.
The one thing we forgot to cover when we were talking about Star Wars was talking about the merchandise and stuff. I don't know if it's too late for that, but
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I do want to bring up a certain popcorn bucket.
yeah.
That, has everybody talking?
Yeah.
I'm
Let me,
getting it.
hold on. Let me
I'll be
bring
there
it up real
April
quick.
5th. I'm getting one.
I need to.
Yeah, I've already seen a couple of people ask, "Hey, if you're going to have to pick me up one of those."
Yeah, let me bring it up here for just a moment. Oh,
And the
wrong
popcorn's in
button.
his mouth.
I know.
I know, it's so cool.
I don't even like the popcorn there. I just want the bucket.
All right, here. Whoops, let me tilt this up. Here we go.
I'm right here, Jabba. I've been waiting.
A little Kawaki monkey lizard with it. That's cool.
That's hilarious. No, I love it. I'm right here.
I'm right here, Jabba. I've been waiting for you.
It's just hilarious. I love that. Look at that. That is so cool. I mean,
almost
I don't know if it comes,
disgusting, though.
Well, it does, right? But Jabba was disgusting. But I mean, who comes up with these things? These are cool popcorn buckets.
At least this one's actually like a bucket. You know, I mean, some of
Right.
them they're just like toys that you kind of, it's got a little pocket, you know, toward the back or something that holds some popcorn.
Curious how much
Right.
it's going to be, though.
Yeah.
How much have they been? Haven't they usually been right around like $32?
Yeah, but I mean, this one makes sounds like it's a little more intricate, so I don't know.
Yeah, it'll probably be like
Yeah.
35, 36, you think?
Yeah, maybe between 35
Probably.
and 40.
I
Did
think
close
it's
that already.
I think it's missing the Leia component. I think that's the one.
Wow.
That's where you put on your bikini, Vash, and there you
Ah.
go.
Now I know how it works. Got it.
Hold on
Thanks for
one
putting
second.
that up,
Actually,
Casual.
I'm sorry. The screen or the thing I was going to show you guys. Give me 1 second here. I got to upload this file. I thought I already had it uploaded. Darn it.
Yeah, little salacious crumb. All right.
Oh, that's right. Rogue Attraction is saying they have 3 coming out. Have you guys seen
here?
Stormtrooper helmet?
Yeah,
Here
the
it is.
Stormtrooper helmet and then the Falcon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
there
So
it
there's
is.
a Stormtrooper helmet. It's the middle top, and it's upside down. And then you've got the Falcon right below that. Now the Falcon is not new. They've had the Falcon before.
They've had the
in
Falcon
past.
Did they change the color? Why does it look different?
It's I think the lighting on there.
Okay, yeah, because that one's been around then.
In fact, let me just do this so we can blow this up a little bit more.
Is it round dish Falcon, or is it
No.
new trilogy Falcon?
New trilogy.
It's
Ah,
well, no,
rectangle-
this
rectangle
one.
di-
new
It's
trilogy
rectangle.
Stormtrooper.
Yeah.
helmet.
Yeah, I think this is the new one with the rectangle on it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, and then of course you've got looks like a Grogu
Zipper.
Yep. You've got the Stormtrooper, or actually it's the Clone Wars. It looks like Cup. You've got
No, those are Rancor teeth.
no up above. So next to
Up in the corner.
Stormtrooper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I will tell you, if you saw my stream last week, me and Wink's Wild Ride, we actually went to the cantina, and I was interested in the Rancor teeth only because when I first went there, it's something I always wanted to buy and I didn't. And the bartender actually brought them up so we could look at them. And let me tell you, they're not what they used to be. originally they were made of wood and they had metal around them. Now it's a simulated metal. It's basically just what is that? It's what the tiki ones are made out of. What is that? Like a
The resin.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's kind of like a resin, kind of like, and it's just the teeth. I don't know. They look really cheesy now. They just don't look as cool. And by the way, those teeth, $87 or something like that if you want them.
Whoa.
Now they come with alcohol in them, but still. And of course, you got the Darth Vader. I'm not sure what the glowing cube is. The ice cube.
It's probably a Death Star.
Is it Death Star? It doesn't. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
And then the last one, I'm not sure what that's supposed to be either. The one that's kind of blue and purple there. But
Yeah, isn't that a take on the some of the drink sippers that they've had before? I think have come in that shape.
maybe.
Kind of a reuse.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like just like the weird stuff that they had in the cantina kind of thing where the drinks are stored.
Right. And this picture came from Disney Hype Beast 80. So thanks to him for posting on Instagram. But yeah, so that's some of the stuff that they're having for Star Wars night, as well as, May the 4th be with you.
And then Rogue Attraction says we're supposed to be getting Halcyon drinks. Yeah, so we're supposed to be getting 2 drinks from the Halcyon Star Wars bar at the Hyperspace Lounge, if I'm not mistaken. From there, or I'm sorry, the Halcyon Galactic Star Cruiser. Sorry, I was thinking the Wish. It's a lot of Star Wars things all over the place.
Oh, he's saying that's the second variant slipper. Hey, from Jabba's Palace. So.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yep.
Very cool. Thanks, Rogue Attraction.
Alan said if they would have used the Leia chain on the popcorn bucket, so you might not be able to use Leia, right? But the chain.
The chain.
Right
Oh, jeez.
Yes.
Wow.
Maybe you squeeze it around his
There it
neck and
is.
his tongue pops
The
out.
chain would have been a nice strap. So you could use it. Wow. Okay. Alan went there.
Yep.
It's great.
Very cool. Should we talk about Tiana's Bayou Adventure being tested?
Yes, I think we should.
All right. Let me bring this up. This is up on Twitter right now. And let me share that screen. Give me 1 second. Where did it go? Here we go. All right. Actually, this is from Drew Disney Dude. I said breaking Tiana's Bayou Adventure test rides are now underway with music at the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World, as Down in New Orleans is currently playing outside the attraction. So I'm going to blow this up and play it for you guys so you can see it and hear it. Okay, so that's pretty much the video right there.
Right.
I want to show some things though from this video. I did some clips, so let me stop sharing that and come back over here. Oops. Huh. Okay, why isn't this not changing? Give me just a second, everyone. Sorry about that.
No problem. You're all good.
Let me remove that. Huh. For some, okay. I'm just push slides here. So this is the actual picture, full vision of what we're seeing here. So there's a few things that I've noticed, obviously, in this picture. But what I wanted to show you was that, let me see here. So this is one of the first things I noticed. So they have a knife that's cutting up a bunch of vegetables on the side, and this is going up the first lift. So you can see it's right here in this section right here. But to me, I don't know. I know they're still working on the ride, but it almost seems like that area is finished and that's what we're leaving there. It kind of looks cheesy. I don't know about you guys. What do you think? That
Yeah.
was
God, I hope that's not what they're putting there.
This
well,
is
apparently that's what it looks like. I mean, hey, look, anything can change, right? But right now, that's what it looks like, and I'm like, really? They would have? Why would they have that there? That makes no sense. Why they would have a knife cutting up vegetables, in this
Yeah,
section.
I don't know.
Jonas and I were looking at this when we first got the overview. We really keyed in on this point right here because I guess there is like a railing that was there when the ride first debuted back in 1990, and that was used for, I think, cast member access. And then sometime, I think like 15 years later or so, they added like a wooden fence to the area. Kind of looked unsightly. It looks like they brought that down, and they're replacing with this kind of, I don't know. It looks to me like it's like a, you know, the type of material. It's like a vinyl almost that they put on the exterior of buildings that they're refurbishing at Disneyland
Yeah,
Resort,
the scrim,
right?
with the scrim.
The scrim, right?
that's
Yeah, it kind of looks
exactly
like
what it
that
looks like.
material, kind of stretched out there. It doesn't look good. It looks a little bit unsightly. It doesn't necessarily go along with the exterior.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like if you look just above it, it's like you could see all the scaffolding and everything. I can't imagine that that's finished.
No,
I mean, the
and
scaffolding maybe gets just removed, but
sure. Well, and I think there's a few things that still need to be finished. Obviously, I'm not trying to rip the ride. I'm just saying I've noticed some of these things and they're kind of bothering me. And this was one of them. Like, what is up with that? I mean, I clued. That was the first thing I clued into. One of the other things I clued into is this right here. You got speakers showing. Why are your speakers showing? This should be covered up. Now, granted, I'm going to show you another screen of what the it's supposed to look like as of D23 in 2022, and it does have this area covered up. And look, it's not open yet. There's still a lot of possibility they could cover this up or this area, but those are the speakers that but the scaffolding's down here, not up there. So I'm kind of like, what's going on here? The other thing that I also noticed, you got the frogs here. Now, it was an overcast, cloudy day when this video was taken today over in Florida, but the frogs do look green. They look kind of faded, and they're looking towards the logs. Okay, it's kind of cool, but I thought they could have a little more color to them. The other thing is, and you'll notice this, that there's no water coming down the main chute. So, and we can go back and look at the video again, but there's no water coming down. I'm sure maybe that's something they'll add later.
Yeah, that's got to be just they don't have it turned on right now.
Right, I think so too. Now, the one thing is, I've noticed that at Disneyland they're adding all this top foliage up here that you can see, and I think what they're doing, it looks really good at Disneyland, the way they're doing it. But then I looked at this, I'm like, that doesn't look so colorful, and it doesn't look great. Now, again, these are just pictures, and it was an overcast day and whatnot, so not the greatest. But I was expecting more, and weren't there more bottles or something hanging from here? I don't see those bottles hanging from the top like they were showing before. Maybe it's just can't see them.
You could see them on the model that was revealed at D23 Expo 2022.
And I've seen pictures, and you can see them in there. It's probably just a shot that's just not catching it, because I have seen photos, and you can see some bottles hanging.
Maybe at nighttime,
right?
Those illuminate a little bit better.
Yeah, I think it just depends on which direction the sun's coming in, because if you catch it in the morning, the sun's going to be shining right into that area.
Yeah, and then this is the actual picture from D23. This is the concept art that they finally showed. Now, this is nothing like what they showed before with the boat up in the tree and all that stuff. That was all gone. But you can see here that in this photo, there's not as many big trees, but it's like they got lily pads of flowers right here. There's no lily pads of flowers. In fact, here it is. You can see it's just kind of, I don't know. There's not a lot of color. It's not real. It's kind of, again, it's an overcast, cloudy day, and there's not tons of color, but there's a little more greenage and flowers and lily pads here. The other thing I've noticed too, and this is unlike our Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Our Tiana's Bayou Adventure is set in New Orleans, right? That's where it's set. Well, here in Walt Disney World, it's set in Frontierland. So in Frontierland, maybe that's why they wanted to keep, some of the brown, rockage or brown rock work to kind of make it seem like it's in Frontierland. But something that someone said in the comments for this Twitter post is that this is supposed to be Frontierland, yet we're hearing Down in New Orleans as a song being played on the outside of the ride. That's kind of weird, And
if you listen really closely, you can hear Frontierland music, interacting with Down in New Orleans. It doesn't necessarily sound all that well. Yeah, all that harmonious, let's say.
Yeah, plus you have more swamp trees here than you have in this concept art, which is fine by me because it's supposed to be a swampy area.
Sure.
I don't know, it just doesn't look like, to me, when you came to Splash Mountain was iconic. It had the tree on the top. It had colorful greenage and dirt rock work all over the place. Yeah, the Briar Patch. I mean, you had iconic symbols that you could recognize immediately and go, that's Splash Mountain. You look at this and you're like, what is this mountain? What is this? I don't get it. Even here, I know that the water tower is blocked by this tree, but you can't really see the water tower in this angle. And it's kind of like, what is this ride? I mean, we all know what it is, but just
that's what I noticed. This is the dead-on shot. This is the photo op.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can't see the tower.
Right. Who thought of this
who
one?
Did that?
Yeah.
I mean, I could forgive, all the other stuff because it's okay. It's not done. It's not done. Let them finish. Let them put the touches. Maybe they're waiting because, why put things out months before in the Florida sun? It's going to end up, dimming some of the colors, dulling them out. But like I said, this is the shot.
Well,
and you can't see the water tower. You can't read the water tower from this angle. I don't understand that.
I meant to show this from Paul. He says, I've noticed that the use of art on the ride, like on the front of the entrance of the building, doesn't look consistent to Disney overall theme detailing.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that. They went with somebody, an artist from New Orleans, in order to paint that artwork that you see on the barn structure out there, both at Walt Disney World and Disneyland. It's a mixture of themes and elements that I don't think are necessarily cohesive, and some things that are not necessarily thought out all that well. For example, one of the reasons why the trees and the water tower is the size that they are is so that the mountain looks smaller than it previously did. So there was a forced perspective applied to Splash Mountain to make it look as tall as possible. Here, Imagineers are trying to necessarily do the opposite because, as part of the storyline for this attraction, they're going with this kind of salt dome idea, right? And these large structures, like these large mountains, like what you see before you, don't necessarily exist in New Orleans and Louisiana. However, they want to be consistent with that storytelling. They want to be authentic to that theme that they're going for. It's just not all working all that well.
That's because a salt mine is underground, not above ground.
That's true.
I say that out loud.
That's true. Yeah.
Real quick, so this was the concept art again. So here's some of the details, and Vash had sent me these photos, so thank you, Vash. But you see, like, there's, you got the fanfare here on the tower, which, looks really cool. And then over here, you got all the flowers and the lilies, like we were talking about. So these are details that would be great, additions to the ride. But I think we're way beyond them adding that. They've already got water filled in, and they're already doing their thing. They're not going to go back and take the water out and put these flowers and lilies in. So it feels to me like they've really missed out on this. And, again, this is what it's supposed to be.
I don't know. Personally, I think they would do that because you'd want to get it tested and get things run through before you have everything put together. Because if you have to, if it's like, oh my God, we've got to do that, you're now destroying some of the work that you put into it.
That's fair
you know
point.
What I mean? So it could be that they are waiting for those finishing touches before letting the ride test, make sure everything is working the way we need it to mechanically. so that we don't, put in all our work and then test it. And oh my God, something that we sprung a leak somewhere and now we got to drain it. And we just destroyed, a few $1,000s worth of flowers that we had installed. So it could be that they are waiting on that. That's why, and you can see in the concept art that there was, all the foliage covering those speakers. And to me, there is no way that is done. Where the speakers are, there is no way that's done. The part with the scrim that's painted, I don't understand that, because if that's just for testing purposes, why would you paint the scrim?
Right.
That's a done deal, I think.
That's the one that has me, scratching my head. I don't understand what that's there for, because it's a very odd piece of artwork for that spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's so weird. It just doesn't.
It's very odd.
It's not even consistent with the art outside. You could have made it consistent with the art.
I mean, to me, that's starting to get into like almost a surreal, dreamlike experience of this ride. And I don't know if that's what they're going for, because at that point, it's like, why is there this floating knife? Why are these vegetables just kind of floating here? What's going on? At that point, then it's like, are we in a dream sequence kind of thing? So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But that, like I said, it's got me scratching my head about that one.
Cordy, what's your 2 cents?
Well, I agree with Casual. I think, I don't know, I just envision them doing some sort of like, maybe it's all put together and they, they can place those things in afterwards, but that makes complete sense. It doesn't look finished. So, but that also makes sense, right? Everything's going to start happening, closer to when it opens. And I'm just curious about that one piece you guys are talking about, that I don't know if maybe that's there to hide something behind it, that they're like, okay, we just don't want this to be seen. Yeah, you can see everything above it, but who knows? So maybe it's just.
Well, it does look like, and if we go back to it here, sorry, it looks like there's supposed to be, you see right there, it's a the water wheel, or what do they call them?
Yeah,
so
the water wheel. And there's a railing there where cast members can access that side of it. That is obstructing. Previously, it was like a wooden fence before, which was unsightly but not necessarily distracting. This is, yes, we are obfuscating that railing there, but it's necessarily detracting from the overall experience and theme. It's a very bizarre choice. I'm not sure what they were thinking quite there. I don't know what story we're trying to tell with that one.
I know. Well, Paul says, I still think they should have gone with Country Bear Jamboree Mountain instead. It would have been a better fit for Frontierland.
Arguments can be made for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay.
Well, and then Mitch says maybe it's, and I don't know, Mitch, if you're referencing that particular piece, right? The painted piece or that scrim, but, kind of like a hint from a past, right? Something paying homage to something in the past, but it's so hard.
It could be something, and once we see the final product, it makes sense at least, but like I said, for me, I have no idea why it's there.
We might be missing a Disney Parks blog post that explains
exactly
what these things are.
And like I said, it could just be that right now we don't understand it, but once we get on the ride, it'll make sense as to why it's there, and we shall see. So I think, we're at the almost 2 hour and 15 minutes, but we do want to tease you with one last little thing that'll just have you wondering what the heck is Disney doing with this one as well. I believe it was Mondo from Five Fires had a post today from Avengers Campus.
Yep. Let me bring it up real quick.
If you guys haven't seen it, we'll show it to you right now.
There we go.
And we've got some random fences that have gone up over back near where the what is it, the Avenger Campus store? What is that store called?
It's Avengers. What the heck is it called?
Outfitters?
No, not Outfitters. It's Avengers Vault. The Avengers
Vault. So we've got some curious fencing that went up back there. Who knows what it could be? Could it be that they're prepping things to get ready to make the announcement at D23 about the
Avengers e-ticket.
long sought after Avengers e-ticket. So
Yeah.
with that, we are going to let you guys go for the evening. So ponder that, put it in the comments what you think that might be at Avengers Campus. But let me say thank you on behalf of my host to Mr. Vashsky for joining us tonight. A very in-depth discussion about all things Disneyland Forward and D23 Expo. Thank you very much for joining us, Vash. I'm sure we'll have you on again, hopefully very soon. But for now, would you let the fine folks at home know where they can find you?
The best place to find me is going to be at that Park Place. We release two videos, I think, every day now, and that's what a cadence. But we do it for you guys so that you don't have to. So please go ahead and subscribe to that. We also do live streams every Thursday at noon Eastern, so you definitely want to tune in for that. It's a lot of fun. We have Culture Casino out there, Lou Westman's Ghost, Jonas. We get into it. It's a whole thing. Definitely subscribe for that. And if you want to keep up to date on theme parks from around the nation, maybe even the world, Theme Park Universe is where you want to be. We release 2 podcasts per month right there, every 1st and 15th. So Theme Park Universe with Theme Park Wizard right there in order to get your theme park fill. So thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Thank you, Vash. And thank you to my amazing co-host, my co-captains for the Chalk Walk that's coming up here in July, which we are raising funds for. So if you'd like to support our Park Streamers team, we've got several other live streamers joining us as well. But for now, Cordy, would you let the folks know where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me on YouTube, Cordy in California, as well as TikTok, Instagram, and Twitch.
Awesome. And when do you plan to be back in the parks? Are you there tomorrow night?
Another question. Still trying to figure that out. I know for sure I'll be there during the day Friday because Marina will be there, so I can't go at night. So I'm going to go Friday during the day, and then Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay. Awesome. And our good friend Bob, Berry Place 28, would you let the folks know where they can find you?
Sure. You can find me on Instagram, X, Facebook, Twitter. Oh, I already said Twitter. YouTube, obviously, Twitch, all at Berry Place 28. And I will be streaming in the parks tomorrow afternoon and night with my father and my daughter. So please come join the fun.
Awesome. And you can find me, Theme Park Casual, on YouTube, X, Twitter, and Instagram. And I will be at the parks hopefully Wednesday night, and then Saturday, hopefully all day I'll be rope dropping and hopefully completing the March Madness challenge that day. So depending on the rain, of course, we'll see what we can get done. But I think we have 12 attractions left to get through and 2 live streams left to do it. So again, thank you to my amazing co-hosts and our special guest, Vash. An honor to have you on, my friend. And with that, kids, dreamers, and jammers, you all have a great night, and we will see you next time. Good night.
Bye.
Hi, everyone.
We hope you enjoyed our amazing show tonight. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next Park Streamers Hangout. Have a good night, everyone.